Thank you for joining us once again. Thank you for staying with us. We're coming here to the final minutes with a brief fireside and a very interesting, intriguing, and very distant into the cosmos, if you will, roundtable coming up. I know that we could be very dramatic here in GatherVerse, but we're enjoying every minute. We certainly hope that you are. Shout out to everyone at GatherVerse.live. Shout out to all the people that are still with us streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, elsewhere. We're happy to have all of you join us today. I'm about to pull to the stage Stefan Youngblood to have a discussion on the color of AI. Stefan, we're very happy to have you, and we're also pulling to the stage LaSha. It's so good to see both of you all. How are you?
Good. We've seen you before. We've been on a couple of these. LaSha, can you hear me okay?
Hear you just fine.
Fine.
And Christopher, you are pretty dramatic, but that's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been told this a time or two,
That's
but
right.
I take it in good faith. Let's get to it. Let's jump in this because we're in the middle of this. We're in the middle of the forest. We're standing at the top of a mountain or a plateau, if you will, and we're sitting here staring and looking in the eyes of AI because AI can now look at us. It's multimodal. It has the capability of computer vision. It's conversational AI has arrived in the palms and the hands of many. And I want to speak to this narrative with the minutes that we have and talking about the color of AI. When I see that, what comes to your mind, Stefan and LaSha?
LaSha, you go first.
Okay, when I hear you say the color of AI, for me, I immediately think about the cornucopia of the need for inclusivity
Mm.
and diversity within AI. I mean, that's like my immediate thought, and it's something that Stefan, and I have definitely been delving into. Um, Stefan, I don't know, maybe a year and a half. I think we've
Yeah,
been really
yeah.
doing some deep diving
Mhm.
into this arena and really exploring, what are the opportunities
That's
right
good.
now for there to really be an authentic coloring of AI,
Yeah.
and what's currently going on in the space and what actually needs to go on in the space. So,
Yeah.
Stefan, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, Chris, we've been working on Black Metaverse as a really large ecosystem right now. A whole lot of people involved in a lot of different ways. AI came in there and kind of as a side point for everybody. But listen, it's not equal right now at all. The people that are creating it, how it's being rolled out, what we look like. You can go on something like Imagine Meta. They got a billion some photos there, images where they pulled from Facebook and everything. But you just watch the way it sort of lines up. Say I want an image of a judge and watch what it does. I want an image of a felon. Watch what it does. It's doing exactly what our society has been doing, and it's setting us back. So just know that things like Black GPTs, which has Aaron is doing an amazing job on here, by the way, with Chat Black GPT and John Passmore with his Latimer.ai. They're inclusive, but they're trained in a different way because we have to have training in a different way. Is
Yeah,
that's making
yeah.
any sense? Yeah.
You know what, Stefan? Actually, what you just said just made me think about just in when we're talking about IRL, right? We have to train ourselves against the biases
Oh,
that we automatically have. And AI models have biases built in. So it's like you kind of have to untrain the AI from being biased, right? But where does that come from? It comes from the data that's being fed into the AI systems, right? So, what does that say about who needs to actually shape the
right.
data that's
Yeah.
being fed
Yeah.
into the AI systems?
Christopher, you had put a preliminary question that's very interesting. You were saying, in what ways can AI be designed and implemented to recognize and celebrate diversity?
Mhm.
Well, I get that, but maybe the question needs to be, in what ways can teams be designed? Because AI
Mhm.
is not out there doing it.
Mhm.
There's some people sitting around a table who've been hired at a company who are making the decisions. So for us in our community to say, hey, Sam Altman and those things, can you do it this way? It's not going to be that way. We all need to be around the table. So, in what ways can AI be trained to design this? How about in what ways can the teams work to design this? Because that's where it really starts.
You know, it seems to me as I'm sitting here under the sound of both of your voices, and we're so thankful for your expressions thus far, and even with some of the minutes that we have, permit me to be candid. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is under assault at a time where it should not be under assault in this present time, because the reality is when I look at OpenAI, when I look at ChatGPT, when I look at Bard, when I look at Claude 2, when I look at all these generative pre-trained transformers, these large language foundational models that have hit the scene, there's certainly not enough people of color. There's certainly not enough women that are helping develop this. If you look at the OpenAI board, it's all male. That's just unacceptable in this present time for you wanting to adopt and us to adopt these type of harsh, very invasive type of technologies. I understand, GatherVerse community, this is a very uncomfortable subject, but now is the time to be uncomfortable, because if we have to deal and look at the ramifications of us not being more culturally inclusive, it will be much more uncomfortable then. And you will not say that there were some people that stood here in person or live to you that expressed these legitimate concerns. And if that sacrifices us losing people with GatherVerse, then so be it. I'll be that. But the reality is, if we do not have more cultural integration in the development of these models, all of technology and the consumer on the enterprise, public sector, private sector will suffer at some point. You cannot leave whole entire communities out in developing these models and thinking that you can scrape the data horizontally from Google and think that you'll find successful outcomes. You will not, because we're starting to verticalize these foundational models, and we need more human intelligentsia. That is the lifeblood of AI. And if it's homogenized, if it's from a monocultural development perspective and not a polycultural development perspective, we're heading into very, very harsh waters.
Yeah, Chris, you look at stuff like HBCUs. Well, why do you have to have historically Black colleges and universities? Well, we had to, and we have to. As a matter of fact, I sometimes I'll use the word FBCU, a future Black colleges and universities, because the ones we've had in the past, we need to do some things different. In AI, we need to integrate some technology in a new way for us to be that in the future. But we have to be insistent, in these things. It's not just right now how it's going. It's not going in a way that's inclusive. So that in your short rant. I like the fact that you're able to put it out there and say, listen, for whatever it is, I'll lose people or I don't care. This is what needs to be said. LaSha, I see you really wanting to say something.
No, I just feel like Christopher really said it very well. I mean, this is the thing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, like Chris said, is under assault. I mean, organizations are stripping training, from their curriculum. People that used to be over diversity, equity, inclusions are no longer with companies anymore. They no longer have those, programs for people to even be over them anymore. I mean, so that is just the realm of where we are once again in IRL. And so, with that stripping, it's like, okay, we're dumping into the technology of AI, and how is the stripping of all of these different programs within companies who are here to build the AI systems. If they don't have these type of programs within them to even like chime a radar, chime a bell to say, hey guys, don't you think you need to have a team that looks like the world, basically, in order to, create it so that it's implemented and, in a way that is allowing for inclusiveness when the output is put out. So, where do we go from here, right? I mean, so we're definitely seeing the writing, on the wall of the stripping. It's like, how do you put it back in? How do you build the teams? How do you become that loud voice? Well, I would assume, Christopher, those that are watching right now, you can be an advocate, right? You can be an advocate for what's needed. Sometimes that one voice, that one singular voice in a company can make a difference that can impact the world. Being an advocate, your voice matters.
Mm.
Your voice matters. And I'm not talking about the AI voice generation of one, but yeah, your voice matters.
You know, the reality is that everything that you said, I concur with, and that our time is out as quick as it came, as quick as it left. But let me leave you both with this. One, everyone that's here, follow these two, spend some time with them. They're really in the trenches. Their work is real. It's authentic. They were with us at the beginning of GatherVerse in our first summit. This is our 20th summit, and they'll always have a welcome table here at the GatherVerse community. Because if you want to look at what a model looks like when it comes to GatherVerse and when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, look at our ecosystem. We have people from around the world.
Mhm.
We don't just talk about being culturally inclusive. This is what we manifest.
Mm.
And so these small sessions that we have, everyone, I want you to really put a pin in it, because the future in which we're heading, sooner rather than later, which we're already here, is going to be dramatically impactful when it comes to civil and social society. And now is the only time that we have to be able to put out the warning, not a threat, that all of this could be prevented. Stefan, LaSha, just give us your quick 2 seconds and then we're out.
I want to throw one thing out there really quick. Chris, I've talked to a couple of companies recently. We've gotten into some of what they're doing in the future, AI and all of this. I looked at what they were doing in February for Black History Month. It's not even on the calendar. All I'm saying is it's an extraordinary time for us to do work. Take that time. Companies, you were doing it in 2020 and 2021.
Sure.
Get back to that and
Sure.
use this time, not just February, but use this time to help to push us ahead and push the conversation. LaSha.
Sure. LaSha.
Yeah, and so I'll kind of piggyback on what you just said, Stefan. In all the conversations that people have with me, one of the things I leave with is that talk is great, but action is better.
Sure.
So let's get to work.
Sure.
I mean, that's the bottom line. We have to make purposeful actions.
You know what? And to be candid, Stefan, they can have Black History Month. I'll celebrate it all 12 months. And they can have
Oh, I get it.
They don't want to hire someone that looks like me, then gosh darn it, with all the different type of tools that are available now, I'll build my own company and we'll teach other people, not just communities of color of Black, but those who have a willing desire to want to have some type of entry into this world. When it comes to business, we'll have to build our own, because we certainly can't find ourselves subjected to those that won't hire us in the first place. It won't even give any kind of credence when it comes to one single month, the shortest month out of the year. Stefan, LaSha, thank you so much for being able to join us. Our gather was well.
Christopher, your leadership is great. Thanks so much.
Keep doing what you're doing, Christopher.
LaSha, good to see you.
Audience, thank you for being able to join us in this very candid discussion, because that's how we get down here at GatherVerse. We're about to go and enter into our final discussion, which is at the intersection of AI and money. What does this have to do with humanity? I can't afford a loaf of bread, and I need money. What's AI going to do with that? We enjoy these tools, but how does it help keep a roof over our head, food in the belly? And what is the meaning of money in this new emergent era of technology? Let me get out of your way so that we can get everyone here that's with us now with the leadership of Grant McGaugh. Mayor Gather be well.